Welcome everyone to a Let's Play Final Fantasy Extra, and today we're going to be covering the All Saints Wake Festival, and this just launched as of recording yesterday on October 18th. It goes through November 4th. Anyway, you need to access the festival. You want to run the quest for the festival. You want to come to Gridania. Want to take the Aetheryte to Makedo's Amphitheater, and our man here is the Aether-starved airman. That's the quest, and it's basically an NPC with a pumpkin on his head. So without further ado, let's get started. There it is, the pumpkin-headed apparition. The Aether-starved Airman. An adventurer by the looks of you. As it so happens, I have a proposition suited to a woman of your talents. Are you prepared to throw caution to the wind and consort with fiends most foul? Of course you are. But before we get to the heart of the matter, let us reflect upon the history of All Saints Wake. On this night do foul fiends emerge to covert and careen. Unconcerned with the judgments of those on high, for the halls of the saints, heavenly abode, ring with merriment as the wine flows freely and no one can be bothered to look down. Thus did God-fearing folk greet this particular sunset with trepidation, daring not to venture from their homes no longer. Nay, for adventurers came and drove out the void scent, resorting safety to the city streets and making the occasion as one of jubilation. That's all well and good, but what of the poor forsaken fiends? Are they, too, not deserving of revelry? My wish is to see all saints reborn as a celebration for all, be they ghost, ghoul, guardian, or Gridanian, or otherwise. And how do I propose to accomplish this feat? Binding obligations, friend. I've convinced the more sinister sorts to enter into contracts with which forbid them from preying upon mortals. In exchange, they are permitted to partake in the festivities, but there is one troubled soul who seems incapable of getting into the spirit of things. Perhaps you'd be willing to give them a helping hand. Nothing too devilishly difficult, I promise. Before you get started, you want to get a grasp of the particulars by speaking with Papa Gruff. He ought to be performing one of his shows by the entrance to the Great Lone Growery. Now go. I shall be watching your performance with great interest. And these are what the festival are usually around. There's usually a story quest surrounding them. It'll most likely be about a collection of a number of quite different quests. Although it pains me so, our humble performance must draw to a close. Let us then end things on a high note. Ladies and gentlemen, I bid feast your eyes on the fantastic Philcox and his transformation magics. Well, what was all that about? The clowning and whatnot was a right laugh, but that last bit was bleeding rubbish. Come on, let's get out of here. Once more, you failed to muster up even an ounce of magical prowess. I had the crowd in the palm of my hand, yet we have been the toast of the town if not for your blunder. There you go again, shrieking the same old tune. I've had it up to my eyeball with this farce. Just because you know a few cheap tricks doesn't give you the right to treat me like that. I can't stand the sight of you, let alone the thought of taking the stage with you again. Good riddance. You don't belong to my usual demographic. If you're not here to see one of my shows, then why are you here? A foul fiend failing to get the spirit of All Saints' Wake, I'd rather you speak of Philcox, the fellow who stormed off in a huff. Like most of our ilk, Philcox and I have insatiable appetite for ether, but unlike your garden variety voidsent who hunt hapless mortals like beasts, we prefer to sate our hunger on their enthusiastic approval. I tell you, there is no ether as delectable as you'll find in the food gifted in genuine appreciation, which set me to thinking, perhaps preying upon mortals was an old-fashioned and misguided approach. Thus did I commit to giving folk the sort of frights that dazzle and delight, winning hearts and minds in the process of no small number of ether-ridden delicacies. And what better occasion for such terrifying amusements as All Saints' Wake? The method is catching, too. Many voidsent now seek ether in this manner. Philcox is one such reformed individual. When I first laid eyes upon him, I sensed promise. But get him in front of a crowd, and you're lucky to get a smattering of half-hearted applause, let alone a few measly crumbs. You'd be better off hearing it from the airman's mouth, though he can't have gotten far. Well, let's see if we can help the individual. Might be just a case of stage fright. That sniveling whelp of an imp. Magic's this, magic that, the sheer unbridled cheek of it. Philcox is practically frothing at the mouth. So incensed is he by his treatment at the hands of Papa Gruff. You must soothe him before attempting to start a conversation. /SOTHE. With him targeted. Apologies. I had taken leave of my senses. Your timely intervention is much appreciated. Wait. By the look of you, I'd say you're an adventurer. Let me guess, that pumpkin-headed lady sent you to check on me, did she? I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you my tale. Try as I might, I just can't get the hang of transforming magics. And without the means to delight the crowds, we're starved for appreciation. I'm an airman, paralyzing prey with my big eye of mine. Not a problem. Turning them to stone with a petrifying glare? A trifling task. Hells, I can even smell despair, all manner of negative emotions in people around me. Obviously, paralysis and petrification won't win over an audience, and my metaphorical nose for despair isn't going to put ether on the table either. I ought to just tell that pumpkin-head lady that I'm not cut out for this business. If you're here at her behest, you'd better come too. I gather you had a hand in Fulcock's decision to lay bare his thoughts and feelings. Not that it did any good. I'm still stuck at square one, unappreciated and undeferred. Such a curious child. Are you truly so blind to your own potential? No doubt you have an inkling as to what I speak. Pray, share your wisdom with Philcox. Maybe tell him to use his ability to smell dark emotions to find those that need and help them. Well, you'd be hard-pressed to find a void scent who's just that. I don't see how helping others helps me, but then again, I know little of mortal ways, so perhaps I should heed your advice. Wait, I see the logic in it now. What better way to make use of my talents and knock that pompous papagruff off his pedestal? No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've no idea where to start. Perhaps I can lend a hand with a little sleight of hand. Hold still. Not only is that getup guaranteed to turn heads, each and every thread is imbued with a potential magic to aid in your newfound purpose. Oh, I think I can feel it. Maybe this isn't going to be so tough after all. There you are. I had thought to apologize for my harsh words earlier, since our act was my initiative and therefore our success, or lack thereof, was ultimately my responsibility, but I sense that you've been scheming. It pleases me to inform you, Papa Gruff, that I found a way to win over mortals on my own terms. I find that hard to believe, but since you seem so confident, why don't we have ourselves a contest? Whoever garners the most affection, and thereby the largest share of ether-rich victuals, wins. And to the victor goes the spoils, or subservience. The loser will be bound to obey their every whim. How does that sound? You're on. I hope you're ready to bow and scrape. That mortal epithet about one's bark being worse than one's bite comes to mind. Prepare yourself, Philcox. I know I've got this marvelous magic outfit, but I'm still not entirely convinced of what it takes to beat Papa Gruff of my own. Come with me until I get the hang of things. That's all I ask. Very well. I shall leave Phil Cox in your capable hands. All fiends sated on All Saints' Wake. How about we try and find a troubled soul in need of aid? But let's get out of here first. Right. Time to look for folk harboring negative feelings. Give me a moment. I don't know if it has anything to do with that pumpkin-headed lady's enchantment, but my powers feel more potent than ever. I've already found someone, and whoever they are, they're awfully flustered. They're to the northeast, I think, though I'm not sure where exactly. The roads here can be confusing. Truth be told, this is my first time in the city. I've got a decent sense of direction, but I've yet to grasp the lie of the land. Could I trouble you to lead the way? Our flustered target is northeast of here. I'll be right behind you. Okay, so he's not going to follow us. And we have to go to this circle here. We can use we'll use Mr. Map. Northeast. Okay. Okay. Such glee. They mentioned the clown. I'd wagered they've just had the privilege of seeing one of Papa Gruff's performances. Listen, I'll be the first to admit that he's an excellent illusionist. And you've only got to look at the folk like these ladies to see he knows how to work a crowd. But I won't be upstage. I'll prove there's more ways to win over an audience by following the timely advice that is. Given the delight written on their faces, our opponent must have earned themselves some sustenance, which means we've no time to look. Onward. Okay, so next. There we go. Oh gods, where has she gotten to? This must be the fellow my senses were leading me to. Shall we find out what ails him? You there. What's got you so worked up? Oh, forgive me. There was this poor little girl who'd been separated from her mother. I was helping her to look, but then she suddenly disappeared. I can't simply abandon her, but then again, I have an urgent personal matter to attend to, and I don't know what to do. In that case, why don't I and my associate look for this girl? Then you can see to your affairs without worry. Thank you, thank you. She's a young lass dressed in blue. I hope you're able to find her forthwith. He certainly was appreciative, yet here I am empty-handed. Forget the food. We have a lost child to find. I'm detecting a despairing presence off to the east of here. Odds are it's the girl, which means I have need of your navigational nous once again. After you. I thought this would be a fine opportunity to accrue some appreciation, but the poor girl is beside herself. She keeps calling out for her mama. Might I enlist your help? This must be the lost lass we've been looking for. If we want to earn her thanks, we'll need to reunite her with her mother, wouldn't you say? Which means we now have a lady to locate. Any suggestions? Okay, we suggested looking for someone anxious. You're saying that the mother will be worried about her daughter having gone missing. Brilliant. This is exactly why I had you accompany me. Right then. Found her. I don't know which is the biggest boon, having you by my side or this fancy finery. I think I've learned my way around the city, more or less. I'll handle this next part on my own. Wait here. I'll be back with the girl's mother in no time. XIV be praised, you're safe. You have my eternal gratitude. Thanks for finding Mama, mister. Do you believe me now, Papa Gruff? Sweet, sweet appreciation and all courtesy of my special talent. I can't help but notice they didn't offer you anything edible by way of thanks for my part. I've already been rewarded with a tasty morsel. That said, the gift of food is far from guaranteed. Indeed, perseverance is key, which is why I find myself performing show after show. I suggest you approach this contest with the same tenacity, Philcox. I'm afraid he's right. Constant effort is key. Luckily, I sense another troubled soul while I was tracking down the girl's mother. I better see what I can do to help. You know, I think I'm ready to go it alone now. Why don't you let our pumpkin-headed benefactor know? I'll come and find you when I'm done. Well, I'm afraid my next performance calls. Until we meet again, adventurer. The adventure returns, and at the precise moment I predicted. I do hope keeping Philcox company wasn't too taxing. What of our friend and his endeavors? You have my thanks, truly. Speaking of the devils, here they come. Dear, oh dear. That turned out to be a damn sight harder than I anticipated, and all I have to show for my travails is a single cookie. To think the first gift I had received would prove to be the last. Curses, I didn't receive so much as a crumb. I suppose this means you win. Very well, I am yours to command, Papa Gruff. You would meet defeats far too readily, Philcox. Hooray, we found you! I wanted to thank you properly for helping me and Mama. I brought you a pumpkin cookie. Simply scrumptious. Uh-oh. I'm glad you like it. Farewell. That makes it one apiece. A draw, then. Still, Philcox, while you had some assistance along the way, you've nevertheless done yourself proud. To think I'd live to see the day Papa Gruff sings my praises. Awfully kind of you to finally admit that I might have worth. Humph. Is that all you desire? My begrudging acceptance? Have you forgotten your reasons for joining the festivities in the first place? Of course I haven't. The good people of Gridania are still in need of my help. And where are the common folk in need? There are cookies to be freed. Given to me. Adventurer, I had better get going, but before I do, let me say this. I might have found a way to make the most of my talents, but I wouldn't have been able to do so without you and the pumpkin-headed lady. I'm sure we'll run into each other again one of these days. Till then. The promise I sensed in Philcox when he and I first met wasn't illusionary after all. I should take my leave, too. I would be remiss of me to allow him to garner all the glory, to say nothing of the cookies. I'd say those two fiends ended up having themselves a frightfully fun-filled All Saints' Wake. Wouldn't you agree? And for your part in this, a fitting reward, I present to you a set of finery, as worn by Gridania's most emotionally perceptive airmen. Perhaps you wonder if your outfit is endowed with the same enchantment? You needn't worry. There never was an enchantment. That little charade was my way of getting Philcox the confidence he so sorely lacked. Although, I dare say, such a measure was unnecessary, given that he had you to cheer him on. Before I forget, you are hereby cordially invited to my humble abode for a get-together of sorts. Do drop by. I assure you it will be frightfully entertaining. Anyway, your help is much appreciated. At this rate, my vision of an All Saints' Wake for mortals and voidsent alike might not be such a distant prospect. Though I do hope that these shenanigans aren't dulled your enthusiasm for the most occult of occasions. You now have access to Sneaky Hollow. Speak with the unusual usher at Mikhail's amphitheater to be escorted to the costume party. Okay, so this is going to do it for today's episode. And as a reward, we get the outfit that our compatriot was wearing during his quests. And this is the outfit. Now, if you have unlocked the inn rooms, you can dump this into the glamour dresser in order to save it for your glamour plates, and that way you can keep your regular gear on, and the outfit from the glamour closet will just simply be an overlay. But anyway, follow along on Tuesdays as we will continue the walkthrough as normal. And we are currently, as of recording, we are currently on the arc of finding Sid's airship, and after that, going after the Primal Garuda. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.